Welcome back to another episode of the Arlington Experience. I am here with a dear friend of mine, Tracy Winkles.
Hello.
Good to see you, Tracy.
Nice to see you.
We are here to talk about this Great 11 movement. We're in the office at Young Life here in Arlington and West Arkansas Lane.
Yes.
Tell me about Great 11.
Well, March 26, 2017, I had a conversation with my son after he had left a concert at Billy Bob's on his way home. He was 18 at the time, had been hanging out with his friends, and he says, "Mom, I've had the best day of my life." And I got to meet an artist backstage that shared Jesus with me, but he gets to do what he loves in front of a bar, in front of random people, and yet he just talks about how much he loves people and he loves Jesus and he gets to do what he loves. I want that in my life. I want to be able to do what I love. And I said, "Well, you will." He goes, "Mom, it's been the greatest day of my life." And all I said to him was, "Be careful, don't speed, and I'll see you when you get home." And this was about 2:30 in the morning. He was late. His curfew was 1. But I'd been talking to him, totally awake. As any parent does, I was just waiting up on him. And I guess I dozed off, and I woke up about 3:30, and he wasn't home. And given his location, he should have already been home. I started calling. I think if you look back at the phone records, I probably called him like 45 times. My last message to him was, "I don't know where you are, but I know wherever you are, God's got you. And I just need to hear your voice. Please call me back." The reality was, Clayton didn't make it home that night because God called him to heaven, and he fell asleep 2 blocks from our house. He was probably, I could walk to where he fell asleep. I woke his dad up. His dad was home recovering from 2 heart attacks, and I said, "I don't want you to be alarmed, but I need to go look for Clayton. Something's wrong. He's not answering his phone." And he said, "No, I'll go with you." I go, "No, you need to stay here." And woke his little brother at the time up. He was 16 years old. And I said, "Get up. You need to come with me." And we got in the car, and as we left our neighborhood, was frantically calling the people he was with to make sure he did leave when he said he did. I was not smart enough to use GPS tracker on an iPhone at the time, or I would have seen right where he was. We crested the hill at California Lane, and the police officers had the road blocked. And I remember putting the car in park as I was opening the door and getting out and saying, "That's my son's truck. Please tell me where he is." An officer who I later now know was Officer Craig Hankins, I think is his name, or Hawkins. He said, "Miss Winkles, I'm sorry." And when he knew my name, I knew that he already knew who that was. And I remember the yellow lines, the double yellow lines in the middle of California Lane. And I don't have a lot of recollection. Over the last 3.5 years, a lot of things have transpired and my memory has come back to me, but I think our brains and our bodies work in a mysterious way to let us progressively process grief, so it's not so overwhelming that we just give up. That's kind of how Grade 11 came to be, because a year later, I knew my Facebook feed was going to be flooded with the 300 pages of messages that I had of all these things that had transpired, and people who lost their best friend, and a young boy who, watched his brother be pulled out of a truck, and a dad, and all this stuff. And I just prayed to my closest girl gang and said, "I need to understand why God chose me. Why did God choose Clayton? And why did he choose March 26th? I was crying in the shower one day, and I said, "I need to understand. I don't understand. I don't know why March 26th has to come." I didn't want the day to come. For the first time, I can say I contemplated just not living anymore. And God said, "Write it down. I need you to write it down." And in the fog in the mirror, I wrote 326. He said, "No, like a math problem." And when I drew the line, 326 adds up. 3 plus 2 plus 6 adds up to 11. And 11 was Clayton's baseball number. 11 became the number in the focus. And he said, "I need you to do 11 things. Just get through the next 11 minutes, get through the next 11 days, 11 weeks, 11 years, however many, but always do something kind every day." 11. And so we started the Grade 11, and that year I drug my best friend and a group of ladies around, and we fed homeless people. We served police departments and school, and our challenge was to mail out 11 cards to people and ask them to do 11 acts of kindness. Whether it be you give $11 to pay for somebody's meal, whether you give 11 cents to some nonprofit. And all of a sudden, my Facebook feed changed because people all over the United States and in England were doing 11 acts of kindness and tagging grade 11 and saying, we got you. We didn't forget Clayton. We're not going to forget Clayton. And this is how we're doing it. Kids at the high school put $11 bills on the vending machines for people to use to get whatever they wanted. I'm very passionate about our first responders. And so that tends to be where I drive, because I feel like a lot of times in our society, they get a bad rap. And I've partnered with the Arlington Police Department and the Arlington Fire Department, and I take the opportunity to give back to them. And the impact is so great, as last Friday, a young lady went to deliver a goodie basket on behalf of grade 11. Doors were locked because of COVID. And she posts it. She said, I saw a cop. And so I just started following him. And when he pulls over, I honk my horn and I get him to come to the door. And I said, I don't want to interrupt you, but I have a goodie basket. And I just want you to know I'm celebrating grade 11 early because I'm going to be out of town. And he says, are you family? And she says, no, they're just really good friends of mine. And he said, I worked that accident. 4 years later, on a day shift, random officer who was working midnights 4 years ago comes to tears over a basket because somebody remembered his acts that day.
How do our viewers get involved in the grade 11 movement? Can they post them to your Facebook?
Yes, that makes me so happy when I see that somebody has done something. Hashtag grade 11 is what we created. There's a Facebook, an Instagram, a Twitter, and we have just filed our nonprofit 501c3 status so that we can do bigger things, because we're tying it into a kindness scholarship at Arlington High School. The number one way I do it is if you message us on the page, I send you a card with 11 cards just like this, so that the person who gets the gift sees this and understands. Maybe they'll look it up. Maybe they'll change their act. Maybe they'll do something kind for someone else and pass it forward. I just want people to know that what you do in the life of someone else, if it's holding the door, taking the buggy back, it makes a difference. It can be a hug. And gosh, Clayton had the best hugs. Clayton would give you a hug and you would feel that all day long and then some, and you just wanted more. And so I tell people all the time, your smile tells a lot about you, and people need to see your smile.
I know as I'm sitting here today that Clayton is looking down on you, and he's so proud of his mom. And I'm so proud to call you a friend and to know that you and I are a part of this community. And I can't thank you enough for being so involved. I know you do it because you have a huge heart. And thank you for participating today. Please, folks, remember, get out, do these 11 acts of kindness on behalf of Clayton. Make Arlington the community that we all know is the American Dream City.